Most founders aren't short on ambition. They're not short on discipline. And they're rarely short on advice. But what happens when the very identity that helps someone succeed becomes the same identity that quietly keeps them stuck? Manna Abraham has spent more than 2 decades working across personal and professional leadership, with experience spanning Argentina, Australia, Germany, Hong Kong, India, the US, and the UK. Her work sits at the intersection of trauma recovery, self-mastery, leadership, and human transformation. She's the founder of the Emotion Memory Pattern Release Method, known as EMPR, and the creator of the 27 Dimensions of Being, a framework designed to help founders move beyond repetitive self-sabotaging patterns and into deeper emotional freedom, clarity, and purpose. What makes Manna's work especially compelling is that she doesn't simply ask people to think differently. She asks them to look at the hidden memories, identities, fears, and emotional patterns that shape how they lead, love, choose, and suffer. Her approach blends ancient wisdom with modern science, helping people release trauma without endlessly reliving it. Her book, Finally Free, the 6-step path to healing personal and generational trauma when talk therapy isn't enough, expands that work into a deeply personal and practical path for people who feel they've done the work yet still don't feel free. This is a conversation about identity, healing, leadership, and the quiet courage it takes to stop performing and finally become free. And before we hop into the podcast, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth and the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. We have William, a graduate of Deep Wealth Mastery, and he says, I didn't have the time for Deep Wealth Mastery, but I made the time and I'm glad I did. What I learned goes far beyond any other executive program or coach I've ever experienced. Or how about Bruce? Bruce says, before Deep Wealth Mastery, the challenge I had with most business programs, coaches, or books was that they were one-dimensional. Through Deep Wealth Mastery, I'm part of a richer community of other successful business owners. The ideas shared forever changed the trajectory of the business, and best of all, the experience was fun. And we'll round things out with Stacy. Stacy said, I wish I had access to the Deep Wealth Mastery before my liquidity event, as it would have been extremely helpful. Deep Wealth Mastery exceeded my expectations in terms of content and quality. And you know what, my Deep Wealth Nation, why they're saying this is because Deep Wealth Mastery, it's the only system based on a 9-figure deal. That was my deal. And as you know, I said no to a 7-figure offer, and I created a system that we now call Deep Wealth Mastery that helped myself and my business partners welcome from a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure exit. So if you're interested in growing your profits, preparing for a future liquidity event, if that's 2 years away or 20 years away, and you want to optimize your post-exit life, Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. Please email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. We'll send you all the information about Deep Wealth Mastery, otherwise known as Scale for Ultimate Sale. That's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you who are looking to create market disruptions, and they want to lock in their financial freedom and have success and fulfillment. That's the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. It has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Deep Wealth Nation, welcome to another episode of the Deep Wealth Podcast. Deep Wealth Nation, let me ask you this. Have you ever had an idea and then you said to yourself right away, oh, that sounds scary. I don't think I can do it. And you don't. And someone else does it and they have massive success. And then you're kicking yourself, why didn't I do it? Or you are where you are today, but you don't know quite how to get to where you want to be. I know all kinds of questions. What do you do? Where do you start? Where do I begin? We have a very special guest in the house of Deep Wealth. You heard the official introduction. We have an incredible thought leader and author, someone who travels around the world, changing lives with some incredible inner mindsets and strategies that you're going to learn all about today. I'm going to put a plug in right there. Manna, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. An absolute pleasure to have you with us. There's always a story behind the story. And my goodness, you have an incredible story. So what's your story? What got you from where you were to where you are today?
Thank you, Jeffrey. So the story behind the story is really about I was the CFO, financial controller at one point, and very similar to yours. So where I had to sign a contract for another 3 years, I thought, no, that's not where my life is going to be. Said no to that. And most of the coaches, I hear that only 1% of the people who come into the coaching industry, they actually float beyond 3 years. And here I am today making more than I have ever made, not as a CFO, but helping people truly to overcome their own internal challenges. So that's the real story. So the way there is fear, we shrink. And when the moment we become fearless and lead with that inner peace, there's every possibility and you manifest it.
And by the way, Deep Wealth Nation, when you go to the show notes, everything we're talking about today is in the show notes, including Manna's book, Finally Free, The 6-Step Path to Healing Personal and Generational Trauma When Talk Therapy Isn't Enough. So let's start with you before we take that out to Deep Wealth Nation. So when you had that opportunity, I wouldn't be surprised if, oh, geez, Jeffrey, yeah, I had some doubts. Can I do it? Is this the right thing? Should I go down the traditional path? Why not? It's already there for me. How did you overcome that before you had your systems and these incredible strategies that you have today? What was going through your mind at the time?
So at that point of time when I had to sign it, and I had to sign it the next day, and I really remember it's 29th of May because end of May, and I had to start this new contract. So you're really saying no to a big package that gives you your lifestyle, pays the bills, pays your mortgage and everything else. But the fear, the challenge is how do we navigate this? How do I go from here? I'm deciding to leave the role from employment and get into entrepreneurship. It's quite crazy. It's a crazy thought because it's night 10 o'clock and I was leaving my office and decided, nope, I'm never going to be in 9 to 5 again. It's scary. It was scary. It was crazy. You have family, bills to pay, things to do, mortgage, debts, everything you had to take care. But I think there is this deep inner knowing based on how my journey had been that it will be taken care when you give in to the unknown, when you face the unknown.
So you had this inner faith, this belief. I don't know how I'm going to go from here to there. I do know that I'm not alone. I've got this covered. So what was that all about?
Absolutely.
Because for someone, especially like yourself, you're doing numbers and spreadsheets. It's analytical. Oftentimes that faith, that belief, whether you want to call it God or the universe or the quantum field or spirituality, whatever comes to mind, oftentimes, particularly with people who are doing numbers all day long, you don't necessarily hear that. What was that all about for you? Where did that come from?
That's true. That's very true because my background was a chartered accountant and an international tax advisor. And my major role was in change management. And I was working with teams around the world focusing on change management. And it can be quite chaotic, change, quite conflicting area too. But however, I think it's my journey where I left home with nothing to escape whatever that past was, past of abuse, past of culture, tradition, limitation. So when I had to leave, I left with nothing. Thanks for sharing. Literally nothing, but for a bag of clothes. And from there, I studied, I qualified, I built my life, I traveled the world from that nothing. So it's the unknown. And once you step into that unknown, the magic, the parachute comes and it will help you. It's not the people, it's the magic that happens when you embrace the unknown. I tried it over and over throughout this journey, and I realized it's really about facing it. That's why my very first program is called Face It, because as long as you're not facing it, it's not about moving towards success by avoiding the past. It is moving towards success by facing the past. Once you are ready to face it, the magic happens. That unicorn, that universe, that quantum field, whatever you said, it will bring opportunities. It will connect you to people. But when we are so logical, because that's my background in accounting and taxation and strategies, the logical mind is about control, but it is counterintuitive. When we experience the unknown, you have to go into that unknown darkness. You don't go back searching for the light. You go forward into the darkness.
It's ironic in many ways. It's the very thing that we fear that's like the magic key when we face it that can unlock the success,
Absolutely.
our goals of what we want to do. So let me ask you this. It's one of my favorite questions in this situation. from a high level, because everyone is different. I understand that. We all are on our own paths and we're unique in our own ways. I get all that. Generally speaking, though, is it one of my favorite laws or patterns, the Pareto's law, a fancy law? Some people know it as the 80-20 principle, that when
Yeah.
you're working, especially with founders, with leaders, that, yeah, you know what, Jeffrey, 80% of the same challenges, the same things that are keeping the founders, the leaders up at night, they're coming from the same 20% of these issues over here, or what I call opportunities, or maybe it's not 80-20, maybe it's 95-5 or 90-10.
Mm.
Are there some patterns that you're seeing that you can share with us?
I do work with leaders because my message is people should lead with personal leadership and emotional independence. It is not about leadership in terms of organizational leadership, because your personal leadership gets projected into the organizational leadership. And one of the things that I see over and over, I think it's not 80-20, as you said, 95 and 5, there is success, and that success gives you attention, society, limelight, everything that you want. But deep inside you, what is the fear that is keeping you awake? Fear that is driving you. What is the fear that is motivating you? So the key is all the successful people, they're successful but are afraid of losing it all.
Yeah. And as you're talking about this, and this is embedded in your book and in your work, I'm going to use the word trauma. So many high
Hmm.
achievers, they wouldn't describe themselves as traumatized. That said, they say, yeah, look, man, Jeffrey, I'm driven. I'm type A. I'm going to go out and do it. I'm disciplined. I'm responsible. Oftentimes, though, trauma can be embedded in that we don't even see it. It's a blind spot. So, how or where in your work are you seeing trauma playing a role that we may not even realize it?
Yeah. Because trauma is somehow taken to the society as a word of unsuccessful people. And successful people do not want to associate with the word trauma because it is for someone who is not high achiever, who is not winning. But the truth is, it's almost a taboo. We need to work on a paradigm shift around that, because that's why I specifically talk about trauma, because trauma is a memory that you are choosing to run away from, period.
Okay, so it's a memory we're choosing to run away from. And then oftentimes, and I know, in fact, it's embedded in the title of your book and in your work, I'm going to use this in air quotes, the therapies, the therapists, is not usually working for most people. So why would traditional therapy be failing? And what are you doing different that helps us remove that trauma without, and you're famous for this, without reliving the actual experience itself?
No, thank you for asking that, Jeffrey. So, the work that I do and how I came across what I have done and how I founded this method stems from the fact that if your well is not deep enough, it projects into every area of your life. And if you are holding your fears and running away from your fears, but you're successful in the world, but this is the silent language that you're speaking and carrying with you everywhere, that you are not empowering people around you. So, when you are not the clean mirror, when you haven't resolved your challenges, and you're distracting yourself in the name of success, in the name of legacy, in the name of accumulation, it's the fear. I cannot see you because my fear is my blind spot, and you hide in my blind spot. Until that point of time, language is your only tool that you can work with someone, because, again, socially, we are so attached to the language, to the talk. But as human beings, we have another power. That another power is understanding through presence, healing through presence. That is our innate power. So forget about the external intervention and start using your internal power. But when you're logical and running away, carried by the gross big objects, how can you tap into this subtle but powerful potential? So, what I do is, if I had to work with you, I clean myself first.
And so, talk to us about that. What does that mean exactly with what you're doing with yourself first before we even talk, before we even begin?
So there is this beautiful law called law of correspondence, which is as within, so without, as above, so below. So there is nothing around me that is not me. So if I am coming across an angry person, what I have to clean is the anger in me. If I have frustration with somebody, it's easy to say you have to get yourself right, but it's the frustration in me. So when we can see that, and when I do that work on me, I can help every person coming into my presence, and I don't have to know their story. I don't even ask them what happened, and they get the result in people who are ready, they get it in the very first session and maximum 3 to 6 sessions. And they resolve 50, 60 years of trauma. And they are successful people, logical people. Logical people do not buy into emotions because that's the very thing they avoid, because success and peace, they don't go together, isn't it? They have to be two different things. So when I do that on me, I am the clean mirror and I become your reflection and you heal.
And for me, as you're talking about that, actually, you're taking me back to our 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery program. And we did a deep dive on science and emotions and all kinds of studies that were done. And for myself, being in sales my entire life, and anyone who is in sales, you'll know that oftentimes we'll mirror back with the person that we're sitting across the table from. So if the person's talking really fast like this, I'm going to be talking really fast like this. Or if they're talking really slow like this, I'll talk really slow like this. We mirror them back. So I love what you're saying is, okay, for me to be effective, I will clean myself first. So I'm showing up this clean slate, if you will, and then I will help Jeffrey do what needs to be done. And as we're talking about this, it's actually taking me back when I was preparing for today. There's two things. You came up with a statement and then a question. I love both. And the statement is, trauma is created in an instant, so it can be released in an instant. And then you went on to say a little later on, what if healing isn't about time, but about timing? And that goes back to what you're saying, Jeffrey, if you're ready, if you're open to it, and I can help you be ready and open for it, you can be healed in an instant with me. And I saw all these testimonials. I had PTSD, or I had this, I had that for my entire life. And then poof, it was gone. So Manna, with that said, let's roll back the curtain. Talk to us about this incredible method, these strategies that you've replicated time and time again. What does it look like? So I'm showing up. Hey, man, I heard about you on the Deep Wealth podcast, picked up your book. Here I am. Here's what's going on. Walk Deep Wealth Nation through what's going on as we begin to work together.
So the very first step, Jeffrey, is about, it's not the strategy, it's the being. Who are you being? That's the most important thing. Everything stems from that. So I train my practitioners on being, not a modality, not a tool, not building rapport, not doing any of that, but in your being. That's the first step. When you're being and you're operating from there, then the second understanding, and you will see in that I say that time is a construct. It's a deeper understanding of time, but we are all logically conditioned to believe time is linear. Unless you, as a leader, as a practitioner, when I say practitioner, my term extends to practitioner of life because I believe I'm living in a glass house, 360 degrees. It's transparent, absolutely transparent, no secrets. Can you be that person? When you're living a life like that, no fear, no secrets, and you're being, you don't need a modality, tool, or anything else. And the first thing we do is I'm inviting you into my being, where you do not see things linear. You do not see things as absolutes. And the moment you shift your paradigm about time and space, because you're coming into my being, your past dissolves. There is no past. The moment you see that, but again, I'm not making it spiritual, philosophical in the process of saying living in the now, because we are never living in the now. We are always living in one form or the other, a memory or a thought bubble. But when you are coming, when you are meeting me for the very first time, you're coming into my being, where you are first becoming boundaryless.
That's
And when you
incredible.
don't have those boundaries, it is instant in this moment, because mind has this enormous potential to if it can be created in an instant, it can dissolve in an instant, but your belief it takes time to heal stops others in their journey. So again, I had to be the person to give that result.
And Deepal Nation, as you're hearing this, you might be thinking, I don't know, Manna, you seem like a terrific individual. You lost me on that. And Deepal Nation, I want to share with you everything that Manna's saying is now being shown by science. In fact, even going back to Albert Einstein, who said there is no past, present, or future, if you even want to call it that. Everything's happening all at once. Yet, from our perspective, we want to separate that out and put them into their own silos where it really isn't. And so, with what I'm hearing you say is, okay, let's put all that off to the side. Let's get into the being. And I love that because social programming has us, okay, I am to doing instead of being. I'm doing this. I got to check that off. I got to check this off. And in fact, you're getting us back to basics. And so, again, everyone is going to be different. I heard you say it could be on our first session, no more than 6 sessions, assuming that you're ready and open to this, particularly for those in business, founders like you and I, entrepreneurs, we're doing our own thing. How do they show up after they've worked with you? So whatever traumas or fears that they had going in with your system, you've helped them overcome that. What does it look like for them the next day when they're showing up to their business, their loved ones, their life without that fear, without that trauma?
How you show up is your trigger free. How you show up is your relationship will improve, not because you're doing something, because of the shift, you're being somebody. You're able to influence with your presence, and you're wondering, wait a minute, I always thought I have to push the button to get it done, but now I don't have to push it. It's like, am I getting disconnected and dissociated? That everything is working fine without me pushing the buttons. And previously, if somebody said they're leaving, I would get triggered, but now I'm able to just accept it and see it with peace. Am I becoming a hermit and social aversion? Am I creeping into it? But it comes from this level of peace and understanding that you can allow things to happen and realize that success is not opposite of peace. It comes with it, but differently. You operate from a different space.
And what's interesting as we're talking about this, the human condition, it certainly is interesting. That's for sure. In chapter 5, you're talking about identity and the ego as that's the root of who we think we are. When you're working with your clients, generally speaking, again, very high level, certain patterns, what's the most painful identity that people are afraid to let go of?
It's interesting. The identities that you think are character building are the painful identities that people don't want to let go of. So, for example, when I say it, it sounds like everybody is that, but no, it's not, because everybody has a hidden identity. I call that a hidden identity because we do not want to agree that we have some 10,000 personalities, but the truth is we all have thousands of identities. And we bring that identity to play, just like the roles we play. But the roles we play are like the costumes we wear, but the identities are loaded with emotions, feelings, and meanings. And it goes deeper because the work we do is not operating on environments or behavior or purpose or your golden why or your values, because they're all your blocks and symptoms stemming from this hidden identity. That identity that I do not want to be like my father. Identity, I don't want to be my nagging or controlling mother. The identity, I will never be the poor person who got rejected. The identity that I do not want to be seen as an irresponsible person, but I am responsible to the world. So, this internal conflict in that identity, the hidden identity, that's the one. So, why the work happens so quick is because you're able to tap into that hidden identity in less than minutes. That's my expertise. So, in 7 minutes, I can hit the hidden identity. And when you do that, Everything else, as I said, this is my favorite thing, and every coach, every practitioner, I train them on this. The very fact you, as entrepreneurship, relations, career, wherever you are, if you can just take this one statement I'm giving you, any value that you're holding on to is your block. Any value, health, money, success, love, honesty, respect, any value that you're holding on to, legacy, or making your past meaningful, or life is adventurous, any statement that you're saying is your block. It's there, right there. And the easiest way to find, take any value and ask yourself, what am I avoiding by holding on to this value? You have your answer. That's where you find you. Go deep into that. And that's the framework I call 1277 framework. It begins with deep inquiry, because logical minds, entrepreneurs, founders, you're very logical. So I cannot get you into an emotional state to release it. But using this very much a logical 1277 framework of inquiry, go behind your values, behind your so-called why. What is my why, or your ikigai, or your purpose? That gives you, and that's where the answer is, and that goes deeper. If you can tap into that, you're free for good.
So it's interesting with what you're sharing, because as founders, let's bring it back to the ego for just a moment, or the identity as some people would call it. That can be why I started this company. That can be driving the mission. That's going to help me just get through it. I'm going to use my grit. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to figure out a way. But when does our identity or our ego, it's interesting, when does it stop protecting us and it starts imprisoning us? That's what I'm hearing you say. So what would be some of the telltale signs that, okay, yeah, my identity, my ego is actually, maybe in the beginning it helped me, but now it's holding me back, it's hurting me. How can I identify that? How can I know about that?
Yeah. So the telltale signs, because as a founder or an entrepreneur, for example, the easiest example, maybe you don't want to delegate. Maybe you don't want to get consultants on board and pay for the expertise. Or maybe you're thinking, oh, there's a lot of money and let me do everything on my own. For example, as a beginner, you may be doing that. But that grit, that hard work, that perseverance, that determination is the same thing you have to let go when you're expanding. Because the strategy for a founder is very different for a person who is expanding, for an organization that is expanding. So the identity of a hard worker, the identity of a mismatcher, the identity of a rebellious person, the identity of a disruptor creates founders. And there comes a point where you have to acknowledge that your disruptor identity, your mismatcher identity is your survival identity. And you have to step from there if you do not want your business to plateau, if you do not want your money to plateau, if you do not want your relationships to plateau. So that's a very clear sign that your identity is stagnant. It's not the business stagnant, it's you who got stuck and stagnant. And that's the transition. And usually those transitions are chaotic, because your identity is like your old engine. It pulled its weight, but now you want to go on a racetrack, but you're still trying to drive with an 800cc. It doesn't work. You have to change it. But who will change it? You have to change it, not your mind, not your body, not your energy. That's another classic thing, Jeffrey. I see that. We are conditioned to believe, I am my mind, I am my body, I am my energy. But the moment we have this depth to understand, I am not my mind, I'm not my body, I'm not my energy, you control, and your mind will listen to you. Your body will listen to you. Your energy will listen to you. That's again a big identity shift. As a founder, you think you are everything. After that, you think you're nothing without others. That independence to interdependence is a classic shift of identity.
And it's interesting because here in the West, we look at things differently. So as an example, and you talk a lot about this, yes, Deep Wealth Nation, you may have a lot of knowledge. It doesn't necessarily mean or guarantee that you're wise. And what I really value about the cultures, these ancient cultures, they have known for eons what now in the West and science and all these other kinds of things are slowly starting to find out and validate. And when I was going through your work, it looks as though a lot of it is from the yogic and Eastern wisdom traditions, Nadi Prana as an example. So talk to us about that. What have those in the East and from yoga and yogic kinds of traditions, what have they known for a while that now in the West we're only beginning to, it's the tip of the iceberg, begin to understand and begin to catch up with?
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great question. And I was, again, with the logical mind because of strategies. I was into neurosciences. I was a lot into subconscious mind, working on that, working in neuro linguistic programming, neuroplasticity, applying those concepts, timelines, regressions, quantum healing. So I was into those areas. But then the question was, how many band-aid solutions do you need? How many times you want to go and put a band-aid onto it, and are you really not getting into the crux of it? Because I'm a very logical person. If you're a logical person, go to the extremes of it. Don't be a mediocre logic. So my logic is, I come from maths, physics, chemistry, 1 + 1 = 2. Then if it is so, if you are into mind, why did you not come to 1 + 1 = 2? You're a coach mentor, why do you suffer? You're a yogic person, why are you still suffering? You're a meditator, why are you still getting triggered? So I needed a 1 + 1 = 2, because if I'm a logical person, let me be a perfect logical person, not a mediocre. That led me to understand Stoicism, because Nishki was my favorite. So from that concept of Socrates, Plato, and Nishki, I understood they have something to say. And then when I connected the dots with the ancient wisdom and philosophy, the Vedic philosophy, they, thousands and thousands of years ago, they have identified, because I was searching for it, because I did not believe in the subconscious mind. I did not believe in the past. I did not believe in that. I somehow believed an evolved mind is the mind that can be in this moment with the ability to see as it is and then give a strategy to it. Anything else, you're working from a different space. That led me to understand, it's going to be counterintuitive again. I'm saying this. This is not airy fairy, this is not woohoo, because quite a logical mind, I had to process that. And I'm saying this here. Your values, as I said, are your blocks. Your why, your purpose is your block. And when you go behind identity, and behind the identity, there's something so profound that the ancient wisdom was always talking about, which was saying, observe what you are feeding to your senses.
Wow. So much in there with what you're sharing. My goodness. It's a treasure trove, but the tip of the iceberg. And it also is reminding me your EMPR system, emotion, memory, pattern, release. And you have these 6 steps that help me go within to begin to resolve and emerge, possibly for the first time ever or in a long time, of looking at the world in a different way. And what a difference that can make. And so when we take that now with the work that you're doing and the systems that you've put together for someone like a founder, like you and me, when it comes to our personal relationships, our business relationships, what's it like when I've shed those kinds of patterns? I've released them. Now I'm showing up with that no longer there. What have you seen with your clients that have really stood out for you?
You accelerate. You accelerate 100 times in energy. You accelerate 100 times in your potential. You accelerate 100 times or many more times in everything that you're doing, your income, everything else. Everything else you'll amplify. Your reach, you will amplify, because you are not limited by the fears or the beliefs of the past anymore. And when you're doing that, what I see happening is, if you're in employment or management, your careers, promotions, growth is very normal. It's a normal thing. The things that we think is hard to make and succeed is actually the most easiest thing to achieve. But what we are trying to do, because of our logical mind, is we are trying to get 1,000 locks for 1,000 keys instead of trying one that will open up everything. The one thing that will open up every potential, every opportunity, you don't have to go exchange your business cards in networking, which I found, is when you use that one key for the 1,000 locks. And that one key is you.
Yeah,
And
wow.
you don't open that one thing but you want to open every other door possible out there.
And what's interesting, man, and Deep Wealth Nation, are you picking up on this? Mana's not talking about, okay, if you do this strategy over here or this strategy over there, it's all external. Forget about that. If you want the biggest effect and effect, go within. It's all within us. Or another way, perhaps, of saying that is everything that all of us think that we want or need, we already have it. It's looking within. And then once we look within, we can then act upon that. And we're releasing ourselves from ourselves, which is the irony here, that we're the ones holding us back, not the marketplace, not what other people are saying or not saying or doing or not doing. Sure, that can play a role, but it's ourselves. We're the biggest roadblock from where we are today to where we want to be. How am I doing with that?
When I use the word ego and identity, being egoistic is not bad, because we use that ego as a bad thing, but it's not. We don't even know what actually ego is. It's way far too concept to understand or to grasp it. But as you rightly said, we are our own blocks. We are the blocks. And to the point, I'm going again to the extremes, because the reason why I'm going to the extremes is because a logical mind is a very intelligent mind and it can comprehend it. The very belief that you are a human being is your limitation. Try it. It's not airy-fairy. It's not any woohoo. It's totally check with your mind and see. The very belief that you are a human being is your biggest limitation. And that's the block.
And so, talk to us about that. What does that mean? The very belief that we're a human being, that's the block.
Because we are so socially conditioned by the belief that human body is limited in shape, in form, and you are different from the walls and the trees. So you identifying yourself as this object with a very specified dimensions. And because of the belief, you're not even stretching or expanding beyond that concept. So your limitation is right there. But the very moment, if you can see that you're more than this so-called body, because you cannot see that because you're not ready to observe the subtle but very powerful energy, which is again E equals mc square. It's not just a scientific thing. It's a very much quantum equation. E equals to mc square. That is, your gross body is only gross because you're moving slow. When you speed it up, you become the energy. You are the light. And your only thing that is blocking you from that is your belief that you are this body. But the same body, the ancient wisdom found that if the same body, if you're just observing with the subtle power of the thought, you transcend this limitation, and that's your potential.
Interesting. And so, if I'm understanding correctly, the very fact of what we associate with being a human, that in and of itself has limitations, and it's that belief that we're essentially backing ourselves into a corner. Because I'm a human, I can do this, but I can't do that. And we're buying into that. And so just like
Absolutely.
with the field and quantum physics, when I put that illusion aside and look at what I really am going within, that's where anything becomes possible. And we hear these incredible stories of Napoleon Hill, our thoughts are things, our inner world helps us manifest our outer world. And I'm hearing you say something so incredibly powerful that lose the notion of what it is to be a human or not a human and just go within. And
Absolutely.
there are the answers to where we want to
Absolutely.
be and where we want to get to and what I want and how to do that. That's where it all is.
Absolutely. And that's the slight point. That's the point. That's the equanimity or the balancing point between ego and identity. Because the moment you're believing I am a human being, everything is happening to me. And then comes the every challenge, emotion, every trigger, every drive, everything is stemming from that. But can you now imagine we, as the group of founders, business people, entrepreneurs, if we are losing that limitation, what can we contribute to the world? How much can we contribute to the world? So I tell all my practitioners, if you're playing small, make $1 billion and give that $1 billion away. Be that. Play small.
Don't play small.
Don't play
Absolutely love
small.
that. Yeah. Don't play small. And how often are we playing small? And Tying into that, why is it for so many founders, they can be incredibly generous and they give to so many others? It's hard for them to receive. Where's that coming from?
Again, going back to that, you play small because you don't know your potential. You play small because you're thinking you're receiving something and that is bad, but all the time you're receiving it anyway. And the simple thing, the very simple example I said, independence is the identity of a founder, but interdependence is the identity of an entrepreneur, a philanthropist. We had to shift our identities. So receiving is a challenge because again it goes into the bottom levels are, am I deserving it, the worth, self-worth, and all of that. You have to work hard to earn your money, earning respect, earning money, and deserving. Punishment, reward, deserving is a framework, one of the 27 dimensions of being. And this is one thing: punishment, reward, and deserving. When you believe there should be a consequence for an act, you're working on the law of cause and effect, and you're using it to your detriment. And as long as you are the prisoner of this punishment, there is a punishment, then you think there is a reward. And how do you demonstrate that? You go on a diet for a week, and on the weekend, you go for an ice cream, a reward for your hard work. When you're playing the template of this punishment and reward by virtue of your religion, culture, tradition, where you come from, deserving is the outcome, and you play small because deep inside, punishment and reward can only exist when you believe you don't deserve.
Goes back to beliefs, and perhaps there's a trauma around that of not deserving,
Absolutely.
that mindset that
Yeah.
goes along with that. So
Absolutely.
powerful,
Yeah.
not just for business, also in every area of our life.
Every area of your life. Your business is an extension of you. So that's one of the things I teach. I teach that there is no work-life balance. How I live, every area of my life is an extension of me. My colleague is not a colleague. He or she is an extension of me. So our life is an extension of us. And who else is in a better place than people like founders, entrepreneurs who can reach the world, who are not in that employee mindset? That's the one reason you shifted from that identity to this. And now, can you imagine when you overcome the belief that you're just a human being and do not operate on this punishment, reward, and deserving? Can you see what you can contribute, what we can contribute to the world? How much we can help. No boundaries, no limits.
When we stop believing humans and what we can and can't do and really going within, I am a creator. I am
Yeah, absolutely.
boundless energy. I'm eternal energy. Completely different from that perspective. We are
Absolutely.
looking at the world differently. It almost reminds me of that classic movie, The Matrix, when Neo understands I'm in the Matrix. Those laws, so-called laws, those rules don't apply. Now he's flying and he's doing this and he's doing that because he lost that belief, those limitations that were holding him back is incredibly powerful. Let me ask you this. We're not going into wrap-up mode just yet. It's a question within a question because there are so many questions that I haven't yet asked. Is there an important question that you and I haven't spoken about yet, or even a topic, a message, a theme that we haven't discussed that you want to get out there to Deep Wealth Nation?
I would give you the question I ask myself. So the question that I would love to be asked is, Manna, what do you ask yourself?
So what do you ask yourself? What is that question?
And when I'm giving this, I want you to truly answer this. When I'm using this word, it can sound like, oh, everybody is using it. But I truly want everyone to question this and ask this. What is your real, true desire within you? What is it? Skim everything that comes to the top, like making money or happy family or children or good society or status in the community. Skim through all of it and truly sit with that question. What do I truly desire? And if you can operate and build your life around that, there is enormous contribution and 100% unconditional service that we can do to the world, and it becomes our duty. The very fact we are here in this conversation, talking to all the founders, entrepreneurs, it's a call that we can give unconditional duty service to the humanity. when we operate from that, what do I truly desire? Not a vacation to Hawaii, that's still the surface. What do I truly desire?
Wow. It's on the surface a simple question, not to confuse simple with simplicity. It's a powerful one, though. And as you're sharing, it's requiring us to go past our limiting beliefs. It's so much bigger than ourselves. And as we talk about this, Manna, it really, that's what being a founder is about. It's not about us. I found a painful problem. It's affecting people in such a negative way. And I know how to be world class in solving that. Let me take that to the world. And one of my own thoughts on this is when I help enough people get what they want over time, and in that order, not the other way around, I can get what I want. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's really by giving over time, I'll be able to receive. By helping others, putting them first, helping them get to where they want to get to, that's when I can get to where I want to get to.
Yeah, and for the founders, again, founders, entrepreneurs, this is my journey, and I had to shift it because Jeffrey, you asked about receiving. When you have a problem in receiving, you can never excel in your sales because you have a problem in receiving. It's not about the tactics, it's not about the strategy. You're forgetting that what you're doing is a service to the humanity. And when you stop playing small, bound by the limitations of your beliefs, everything is an exchange. And from that true sense of service, 100% unconditional service, energy exchange is the way, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed, transmuted, and transcended. So for founders, how you can see your limitations in your receiving, in your punishment, reward, deserving frameworks, because sales was a very bad word when I started. But I embraced it because I had to shift my identity of being an independent person, never asking for help. I can do it all. I know better, to I am nothing without you. We are interdependent. So whether it is in sales, your IT, your quality control, your delivery is an extension of you. And when you believe your business is not just to put food on the table or pay some bills, you have a gift, and that's a service to the humanity. When we operate from there, everything will expand.
It's a small nuance, a small shift. It's tremendous, though. It is huge in everything of what's there. So, Deep Wealth Nation, what do you want? What do you truly want? Not that trip to Hawaii, as Manna was saying, go within. It's something bigger than you. You're looking at the world in being of service, of helping, making that difference. And that's really what it's always been about. That's often why I find, and there's that saying, that the giver oftentimes receives more than the receiver, because we're giving of ourselves when it's a noble thing that we're doing, something that can really make a difference. Such tremendous insights and wisdom. And speaking of insights and wisdom, it's a perfect segue, Manna, as we go into wrap-up mode here. It's a tradition here on the Deep Wealth podcast where I have the privilege and the honor of asking each guest the same question. Let me set the question up for you. It's a fun one. When you think of the movie Back to the Future, you have that magical DeLorean car that will take you to any point in time. So, man, it's tomorrow morning. You look outside your window. This is the fun part. Not only is the DeLorean car curbside, the door is open and it's waiting for you to hop on in. What you do, you're now going to go to any point in your life. Manna, as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time it would be, what are you telling your younger self in terms of life lessons or life wisdom? Or, hey, Manna, do this, but don't do that. What would it sound like?
It would sound like Narnia tales. It would sound like go into the unknown, face
Wow.
it.
Go into the unknown.
Go into the unknown, face it. There's magic.
Go into the unknown. Face it. There's magic. That statement in and of itself has so much power within it. Go into the unknown. Face it. There's magic. Think about that, Deep Wealth Nation. And for someone in Deep Wealth Nation, they have a question. They want to have some coaching with you, perhaps not just for themselves, even for their team or their organization. Where's the best place online to reach you?
The best place is to get me on LinkedIn, Manna Abraham. And if LinkedIn is not your space, you can also reach out, get onto my website, www.mannaabraham.com. and you can schedule a time, and I'm more than happy to talk to you.
And Deep Wealth Nation, the great news, this is all in the show notes. It's a point and click. Just go to the show notes. And while you're there, pick up Manna's book, reach out to her, ask those questions, go from where you are to where you want to be, not with years of talk and therapy and doing this and doing that. Nearly instantly, you have the opportunity of doing that. And so, Manna, all of that said, it's official. Congratulations. This is a wrap. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And thank you to all the listeners too. Thank you.
So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribe, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.